Hello, welcome. This is the August 2013 video edition of the Iowa General Fund Monthly Revenue Memo. I am Jeff Robinson, Senior Fiscal Analyst for the Iowa Legislative Services Agency, the nonpartisan support agency of the Iowa Legislature. This video will cover Iowa net general fund revenue for the first 2 months of fiscal year 2014, and I will also compare historical growth rates through August to the final rate of growth for that fiscal year. Iowa net general fund revenue posted a modest increase for the month of August 2013 when compared to the previous August. Net general fund receipts posted an $8.3 million gain, or 1.3% for the month. The dollar growth among the various revenue sources was generally positive. August 2013 did end on a weekend, but August 31st is not a significant deposit date, so this calendar issue likely makes little difference on the growth interpretation. For the first 2 months of the cash fiscal year, net revenue, that means gross revenue minus tax refunds issued over the 2 months, has increased $8.5 million, or just 0.8%. This percentage, while still positive, is considerably below the trend established over recent fiscal years. I will now break down the 2 months change into its major components. The individual income tax employers withhold from employee paychecks is the single largest contributor to Iowa General Fund income stream, accounting for about 45% of annual net revenue. Over the first 2 months of the cash fiscal year, withholding deposits have increased 2.0%. Gross sales and use tax deposits represent about 38% of receipts, and fiscal year to date, sales and use tax has increased 4.2%. Gross deposits of corporate tax produced about 8% of fiscal year 2013 general fund revenue, and that revenue source has increased 13.9% so far this fiscal year. These three gross general fund income sources account for roughly 90% of net revenue, and all three are positive so far this fiscal year. The negatives for the cash year include payments with income tax returns, tax refunds issued, liquor profits categorized under other income in this table, and school infrastructure transfers to school districts. The 0.8% growth over the first 2 months of the fiscal year represents the fourth slowest start to a fiscal year in the past 10. Fiscal years 10, 11, and 12 were all negative growth years through August. However, general fund growth through 2 months is not very well correlated with general fund growth for the entire fiscal year. This table presents the general fund net revenue growth rate, excluding transfer revenue, both through August and through June, for the previous 9 fiscal years and for 2014. The right-hand column provides the percentage point difference between the August growth rate and the year-end rate for that same fiscal year. While 4 of the 9 previous fiscal years did see final growth rates within plus or minus 2 percentage points of the August reading, 3 of the 10 recorded variances in excess of 7 percentage points. The median absolute value of the percentage difference of the 9 years is 3.1 percentage points, or about $210 million in median variance. In conclusion, August 2013 was a slightly positive revenue month, and it follows June and July that also showed little change from the previous year's numbers. 3 months may or may not be a sufficient time to identify a trend, but the main drivers of general fund revenue growth, namely withholding tax, sales and use tax, and corporate tax, remain positive, while several of the negative contributors, namely liquor profits and school infrastructure transfers, cannot do significant damage over the long term. While a 2-month growth reading of 0.8 percentage points is very low by historic standards, the growth reading for August is often not very indicative of the final growth rate for a fiscal year. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and interest in Iowa General Fund revenue. Please check out the next monthly video memo that will be posted in early October.